Today is the anniversary of what I consider to be one of the most important days in mafia history. Because it was on this day in 1985, Big Paul Castellano, the boss of the Gambino family, was assassinated. And it's not even for the fact of who Paul was or the fact that he was a boss that makes this day so memorable, but what makes this one of, if not the most famous hit in mob history. And that is because of who was behind it, John Gotti. Now, to understand why John did it and why it's such a big deal, we have to go back. Matter of fact, nearly 10 years before the assassination with the boss and the death of Carlo Gambino. Considered by many historians and even mobsters, Gambino is often considered as the most successful mob boss in history. And whoever was going to replace him had big shoes to fill. Before his death, a lot of people assumed that he was going to name his underboss, Neil Della Croce, as his heir. He was old school and very well respected. However, as a surprise, he actually names his cousin as his heir. This is shocking because Paul is not well respected by the guys and he's seen more as a white-collar businessman rather than mobster. Now, even though Neil didn't agree with Carlo's decision, he still respected it and he never tried to usurp Paul at any point during the rest of his life. But is when he died, his protection for Paul went with him. Matter of fact, it's only 2 weeks after Neil's death does John go after Paul. But either way, this is a story that many people have heard, but why is it so important? Well, it's important because of who John eventually became. John is easily the most recognizable Italian mobster in history, because of which a lot of people conflate his popularity with his effectiveness as a boss. Yes, while John was popular, he was not a good boss, and numerous mobsters that have done business with him or who knew him personally have gone on record to say that. Even if we were to just take the basic fact that he was popular, I think is more evident enough. A mob boss should never be on the cover of Time magazine. In retrospect, all of John's tenure as boss proved two things. The first is he was exposing the mob to the limelight at a time they could not afford it. This is during the mid to late 80s, this is during the commission case, this is during RICO trials, and the second is proving Carlo right. And if you've seen my videos, this is something that I have talked about before. Paul was picked because he was a white-collar businessman, someone who which Carlo believed was going to usher the mob into a new era. Guys like Neil Della Croce and his protege Gotti were very old school and street oriented, which is great, but the days of rackets and numbers and unions and bookmaking was going to end sooner or later. In short, all John did was just expedite the downfall of the mob. He was an old school mob boss who wasn't prepared for the limelight at a time when there shouldn't have been one in the first place. And while John can't solely be blamed for the fall of the mob, he is often credited, either by mobsters or historians alike, as playing a major role in it. And it is seen 39 years ago today, the beginning of the end of America's most infamous yet powerful criminal organization.